This is Real Republican News. I'm your host, Jason Mariner. If you haven't noticed, this country is experiencing a large set of problems and things are simply not normal. Half of the country literally can't stand the other half of the country, and that's quite simply not what America is about. America is about getting along. Two different sides of the equation, two different sets of beliefs, a two-party system that can work together, come to terms, and do what's best for the nation. That's intentionally being taken away from us by bad politicians with bad policy. And they've been very sneaky about how they've gone about doing it. They've created a system that most Americans are relying upon in the tech space. The new town square that I always talk about, where people go to exchange their thoughts, share their beliefs, opinions, and gather their information. The mainstream media, they've all aligned themselves with the radical left politicians of this country. And the radical left politicians of this country want to do nothing more than to eliminate the other side of the country. They don't want any conflict of thought. They want one singular set of beliefs, and that's it. They want you to fall in line, do what they say, or else. And they're starting to take measures to make that happen. If you go to any of these social media platforms to voice your opinion as a conservative, a Republican, a Christian, a constitutionalist, your voice is snuffed out and taken away because you're labeled as a bigot, a racist, a homophobe, a xenophobe, especially if you voted for President Trump. And we all know that that's simply not the case. It's obvious, if you think about things logically, that half of this country is not racist, but half of this country is Republican. Half of this country did vote for Donald Trump as their president for a second time. They knew they needed to cheat because he was going to take office again, so they did. And now we have a lame duck president who can't put together a sentence. He claims he's Catholic when he's sworn in on a centuries-old family Bible, but he's constantly doing things that don't align with his faith, supporting abortion, using your tax dollars to fund abortion, funding abortion with your tax dollars in other countries even, dividing the country. Those are not Catholic things. Those are not what Catholics or Christians stand for. They're taking religion from schools. You can't say the Pledge of Allegiance in school because it contains the word God. It doesn't say one nation under a Christian God or a Jewish God or Muslim God. It just says God, because they're trying to take faith away from people too. It's not Christianity. They're trying to eliminate faith in full because they know that people that have faith are harder to control and they're easier to manipulate. They know that if a population is uneducated and easy to manipulate, they're easier to take over and control. Plain and simple. Why do you think they're attacking the educational system? We have this Corona-19 pandemic under control. There's a vaccine. It's getting better. They're flattening the curve. The administration that's in office now said that they were going to follow the science and numbers. The science and the numbers say that things are okay. They're getting better. Yet, kids across the country still can't go to school. They're saying these mask mandates are going to continue for another 2 years. And then in 2 years, it'll be another 2 years if they have it their way. Social distancing will continue to be mandated in certain places where bad governors allow it. Luckily, I live in the state of Florida, and Florida has a governor that won't take this crap. He recognizes what's going on. He won't allow critical race theory to be taught in his schools. Critical race theory, by the way, is just another measure to divide America totally. But the main problem at hand is that quite literally half of this country has no voice. Because the Silicon Valley tech tyrants that own things like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all the related platforms that control the ebb and flow of information that everyone has become dependent upon have teamed up with the radical left politicians of this country who wish to destroy the Constitution. The solution that needs to take place is there needs to be a parallel internet, a parallel social media platform, or platforms that need to start taking place and being built. People need to have a voice. You can't eliminate the voice of half of the country. It's not right, and it's not going to happen. That's why we are here. We strive every day to create a new platform for you to just be able to speak freely, and we're going to use the Constitution as our playbook, plain and simple. That's why when Real Republican News was bought, we bought it. We knew we were going to need it. Real Republicans, by the way, will let conservatives, liberals, Democrats, whatever they want to be, onto our platform because we believe in the Constitution. We believe in freedom of speech and liberty. We're going to allow the word God to be used on our platform. We're going to allow people to say that Joe Biden is a false Catholic. He's a bad president. He doesn't follow the Constitution. We're not going to censor people for speaking the truth. But we're also not going to censor people if they go on our platform and say Donald Trump is bad. Just because someone says he's bad doesn't make him bad. It just means they're exercising their right to free speech. It's called liberty. That's what America is about. America is about being able to say, act, do as you wish. That's the whole point of this place. The Constitution has made it so for 244 years. It's not being done quick enough. But I've seen the necessity for this for a long time, which is why I've started to take steps to make it happen. President Trump seems like he might be doing the same thing. He recognizes that there needs to be a second place for Americans to speak freely. Really freely. Facebook isn't free. Twitter isn't free. Instagram isn't either. They're all owned by this collusive, radical left network who the second they hear someone say something conservative, constitutional, or something out of line with what they want you to believe, with it, something that doesn't flow with their narrative, they shut you down. It's called tyranny. They push propaganda and lies. It's all very intentional. They want everyone else to think that opposing thought, that conservatives, that we're all racists and bigots, because racists and bigots are people that you shouldn't like. But you shouldn't fall into the trap of thinking that half of America are racists and bigots, because it's simply not the case. Look around you. If that was the case, we wouldn't have had a president that was black for 2 terms. Kamala Harris wouldn't be in office. We wouldn't have a flood of brown people by the hundreds of thousands risking life and limb to make it into this country as we speak. That wall needs to be finished, and these platforms need to be built, and censorship needs to end. The people that are doing the censoring, by the way, and pushing that one-sided agenda are getting Americans killed. They censored me for saying Donald Trump good, Joe Biden bad. But the shooter that massacred 9 civilian lives and took the life of 1 law enforcement officer, his stuff went unnoticed. They said immediately that he was a big bad white man who voted for Trump. He wasn't. He was a Muslim radical Syrian who seek to do harm to Americans just because they were Americans. That's what he wanted to do. His father went on rants, espousing his hatred for this country, supporting ISIS, and every single time it seems something like this happens, it's blamed on the big bad white man with his AR-15, and it's completely missed all these posts that lead up to tragedy. They can't seem to detect them. But the second I say Trump good, Biden bad, I'm shut down. You should see a very big problem with that. Your fellow Americans are dying. I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat, liberal, or whatever. What happened in Boulder, Colorado was ridiculous, horrible, evil, and it should have been stopped. And these guys are taking no measures to stop it because it enhances their agenda. They don't care, and they're complicit. So everybody needs to wake up. It's disgusting. Enough is enough. Americans are dying. Police officers being shot in their cars because these platforms allow people to say things like law enforcement officers are racists, bigots, murderers, Nazis. Defund the police. It's getting them killed. It's getting your fellow citizens killed. If it continues, God forbid it hits close to home for you, the way you think is going to change very rapidly, and you're going to catch on to the fact that they're causing this nonsense, that they're dividing America and it's getting people hurt. The Constitution has kept this country a great place for 244 years. It needs to continue to be followed, and the cornerstone of it is freedom of speech. The excuse that these companies are privately held is bullshit. Americans, as long as they're not going to get anyone hurt with their speech, should be able to say and do as they please. That's the definition of liberty. If you want to debate me on what liberty is, come on, bring it on. Jason at RealRepublicanNews.com. I'll bring you on the show and we can talk about liberty and the foundations of this country. To my audience, and until next time, I say God bless you, your families, and be well. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and hit the like button too, by the way. And share this with your friends so we can start getting the word out about the nonsense that's going on in this country.